Ukraine by Friday. A federal judge is weighing whether to extend a temporary block on Mississippi's new DEI ban. House Bill 1193 would prohibit public schools and colleges from promoting diversity programs. Judge Henry Wingate heard arguments Tuesday but hasn't ruled yet. And Salt and Pepper are suing Universal Music Group, claiming the label is blocking their music and refusing to return rights to their master recordings. The duo says they met all legal requirements, but UMG won't honor their copyright termination rights. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's baseball teams lost at home last night. St. Louis beat the Dodgers 5-3. Impressive night for Shohei Ohtani in the loss. He had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings on the mound and hit his 39th homer. The home run was his 1,000th hit in his 8-year career. The Angels lost to Tampa Bay 5-4. The Angels struck out 16 times and did not score after the 4th inning. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Connecticut Sun. The Sparks are going for their 3rd straight win. The NFL suspended former USC wide receiver Jordan Addison for the first 3 games of the regular season. Addison, a first-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings in 2023, was suspended for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Addison pleaded no contest to a DUI charge in 2024. He was found asleep in his car on the 105 freeway in LA. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. James said something that caught me off guard. Black Altadena is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So, go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
So, Dr. West, we going with Junior Walker today?
That's the truth, my brother.
What Does It Take by Junior Walker?
What does it take? You know, like you, he grew up in Indiana, brother.
I did know that. Yeah, Junior Walker, yeah.
Yeah, right. I've been born in Arkansas. but nobody like him, brother. Audrey DeWalt Mixon Jr. out of Arkansas and Indiana, sounding so good, 1969, brother.
No, as you know,
Johnny Bristol.
Yeah, as you know by now, Dr. West always chooses his walk-on music every Monday and Thursday. And I look forward to the second hour just to see what he's going to choose on any given day. And today it is Junior Walker. Dr. West, this is breaking news. I'm sure you just saw this. Happened literally moments ago. Let me just read from the New York Times. The headline, Netanyahu says Israel wants to take military control of all of Gaza. That's your headline right now in the New York Times, trending. Netanyahu says Israel wants to take military control of all of Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made the remarks ahead of a security cabinet meeting, bucking the advice of the Israeli military and warnings that expanding operations could endanger the hostages and kill more Palestinian civilians. So Bibi, Dr. West, wants to occupy all of Gaza. What say you?
Well, in so many ways, my dear brother. You know, when Junior Walker says, I want to blow for you, he's saying there's got to be a voice of conscience.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, though, brother, there haven't been enough voices strong enough to translate the actions to stop the genocide, to stop the ethnic cleansing, to stop the apartheid-like rule. And the ultimate logic is full-scale occupation. There's already been occupation, of course, for decades, and it goes back to the 100-year war against Palestinians. It reminds me of the 400-year war against black folk in the United States, but that's the parallels that we should never forget. But the ultimate logic is the full-scale occupation. And the sad thing is, even with the announcement that we talked about earlier this week of France and other countries calling for a Palestinian state, is too little too late. Why? Because it doesn't stop the genocide. It doesn't stop the barbaric ethnic cleansing taking place. When the whole world could see the abolition of hospitals, all the universities, 75% of the buildings and infrastructure leaving rubble, over 25,000 children killed, and no one stops it, and the United States facilitates it, that's Biden as well as Trump, then Israel believes it can do anything it wants. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you got critical voices of Israelis against Israeli policy, of course, so we don't want to talk in monolithic terms here, but it's also true that the vast majority of folk in Israel do support the occupation and do, in fact, support the genocide. And it's a vicious thing. Thank God you got Jewish Voices for Peace here in the United States and other places that are fighting vigorously in solidarity with Palestinians. But when Junior Walker say, I want to blow for you, he's talking about also his saxophone, like Coltrane, being a voice of conscience, some morality, some spirituality, some solidarity with folk who are suffering, who feel abandoned, who feel isolated, who feel no one cares about them, who feel that they don't matter. No, we, like Junior Walker say, we will raise our voices. We're going to blow for any oppressed people, no matter where they are, black folk in South Central or Palestinians in Gaza.
So that track from Junior Walker, once again, is called What Does It Take? You Junior Walker fans know that. What does it take? And when we come forward, I want to ask Doc, what does it take to stop Benjamin Netanyahu? And let me just put a finer point on this. So officials from Netanyahu's office said in a statement shared with NBC News that Bibi has decided to occupy, I'm quoting now, occupy all of the Gaza Strip, including areas where hostages may be held. That's a quote from his office. He's decided, I quote again, to occupy all of the Gaza Strip, including areas where hostages may be held. Now, if that isn't reckless, I don't know what is. I mean, Bibi has gotten to the point of being just a madman, if I can put it that way. But he's determined to occupy now all of Gaza against the advice of his military, including the areas where Israeli hostages are still being held. So clearly, he's not even putting a premium on their lives. What is driving BB in this way? What's driving him in this way? And what does it take to stop him? That's the question for Cornel West when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
So Junior Walker raises that rhetorical question, Doc, which is a bit more than rhetorical right about now as it relates to what's happening in Gaza. But the title of that track, again, is What Does It Take? What does it take to stop BB when, again, against the advice of his military, he has decided to occupy all the Gaza Strip, including these areas where Israeli hostages may be held. That's a quote from his office. That just seems, I'm trying to find a word other than reckless, but I'm not the professor you are. Can you do better than reckless?
Well, I tell you, Brother Tavis, one of the reasons why you the best in the business is you got the smoothest moves and transitions. The move from what does it take with the music, from Junior Walker on the saxophone, to what does it take to the gangster in Israel who's facilitating genocide, ethnic cleansing, and apartheid. And I think we have to go back to our own history. What did it take for us to break the back of barbaric white supremacist slavery? What did it take for us to break the back of barbaric white supremacist apartheid, Jim Crow, American terror? What did it take for us to organize to break the back of apartheid in South Africa in solidarity with those in South Africa, Mandela, Tutu, Sisulu and so many others, Billy Nair, Slovo and the others. What it takes is boycott. What it takes is divestment. What it takes is sanction. What it takes is organizing. What it takes is mobilizing. What it takes is isolating any regime that reaches a point where, in fact, it's willing to kill children randomly, at whim, innocent people randomly, at whim, and then try to rationalize it in terms of their own various words, whatever words they use, whatever words they use. And so, in a sense, it was, what does it take to break the back of any oppressive regime?
Yeah. Since you made that parallel, and I hadn't thought about this in a good while, but since you made that parallel, my mind goes back to a couple of the interviews that I've had with Bibi Netanyahu over the course of my career. And I'm thinking now of a particular interview, and again, your parallel to that question of what it took to break the back of white supremacy in this country. That parallel got me thinking about this. So I interviewed Bibi Netanyahu, this is some years ago, and I suspect he'd never been asked a question like this. And I can see his face right now, Doc, when this question came out of my mouth. I asked him just point blank, just on the spot, because I wanted to just catch him in the way that I did. I asked him whether he had ever considered nonviolence as a strategy in the Middle East. And the look on his face when I asked him that question said everything. And then I went into, a king, frame, a Kingian frame. And I said to him in so many ways that, King said that love is the only force capable of turning enemies into friends. So, Mr. Prime Minister, you have tried everything. You have tried everything in the Middle East except nonviolence, except love. And look at what Dr. King did in this country. The only weapon that Martin ever used, he only had one weapon. And what was that weapon? Love. Love expressed through nonviolence, or nonviolence expressed through love, take it as you will. So he stayed quiet for a second, but the look on his face and everything, so I just went in. Doc, I just went in on this Kingian frame of love and the power of love and the efficacy of nonviolence. I just went into it. And I asked him, what he thought about that. And he says, Tavis, he basically said, I can't believe you even asked me a question like that. And then he said, with all due respect to Dr. King, this is Bibi talk. This is Bibi. You can probably find it if you Google it somewhere. Bibi said to me, with all due respect, Tavis, Dr. King did not know Hezbollah. Dr. King did not know Hamas, and then went on to suggest that that with all due respect to King, that notion would never work in the Middle East. Your thoughts on that reflection, Doc?
Well, of course, Dr. King didn't have the support of the U.S. empire. Dr. King didn't have support of UK. He didn't have support of European Union.
Yes.
Dr. King had Jesus, the Holy Ghost, and black folk and some progressive white folk trying to break the back of a Goliath, of a Leviathan. So that already there's an asymmetry. But it reminds me very much of my time with Bishop Tutu. He and I were speaking in the synagogue, and he spoke right before I did.
Right.
Got a standing ovation for 5 minutes because he talked about loving his enemy and talked about nonviolence. Then I stepped up. I said, I'm going to be very honest about this. Jews have a very rich tradition of ethical engagement, political analysis, but they don't have analogs of Martin Luther King Jr. I've never heard Jews talking about loving their enemy. I've never heard Jews talking about loving Nazis, loving Palestinians. There's been Jews who've been in solidarity with various other progressive groups, but when it comes to the love ethic and loving our enemy and following Jesus, there's not a whole lot of oppressed groups who have a Martin Luther King Jr. or Desmond Tutu or Fannie Lou Hamer.
Yeah.
We have to be honest about that. And you know and I know, because we get trashed all the time. We talk about Jesus and loving our enemy, and people say, these two Negroes have lost their cotton-picking mind. Now, it's all about power. It's about violence. If they hate us, we hate them. They terrorize us, we terrorize them. We say, we understand that there's always been folk in our movement who believed in violence, resistance, believed in hating the enemy, and so forth and so on. We understand that. We just decide to go this way. That's all. We just decide to go with Jesus and Martin King.
Yeah.
That's who we are. It's different strokes for different folks. But we have to be very honest that what Netanyahu was also saying was, I would never even consider anything that would not include deploying power in order to subjugate and dominate other people, because the world is about who dominates. In that sense, he and Trump are very similar. They're kissing cousins in that regard. There's a sense in which Netanyahu is the Trump of the Middle East in the way that Trump is the Netanyahu of America, because both of them are gangsters. Both of them believe in using power to subjugate, using power to humiliate. And both of them at the moment are hand in hand in facilitating a genocide in the eyes, in real time, in what is happening right now. That's what needs to be said.
I think you just said it. I think you just said it.
Very much so.
And
as Anna Hitcher reminds me, the Ku Klux Klan were in many ways an American version of Hezbollah and so forth in terms of killing black folk. But Hezbollah and the others were also forms of violent resistance against a vicious Israeli occupation and domination.
No, Anahita is absolutely right, and I just cut it short because I didn't want to cut into too much of your time. But that's exactly where I went in that conversation. I said, Mr. Prime Minister, are you serious? Have you never heard of the Klan? Have you never heard? I mean, I went in, man. I said
right there.
They were lynching Negroes every day. You have studied in this country. Are you not familiar with civil rights history and segregation and Jim Crow and Jane Crow? I mean, BB and I went at it that day, as I recall. So no, Anahita's right. And that's exactly where I went in that conversation with Bibi Netanyahu. But you said two things now that really got me thinking here. The first is this, and I had never thought about it in this way. This is why I love Cornel West. Every time this Negro opens his mouth, he makes me think about stuff that I've never really pondered. And I've known this Negro for 35 years, and I'm still every time we talk.
Love you.
I love you back, man. Ain't nothing you can do about it. I love you. So here's I've never thought about it this way. What is it? And this is not an indictment. Let me be clear before this thing goes viral. This is not an indictment on my part or Dr. West's part necessarily of our Jewish brothers and sisters. But since you went there, it is fascinating to consider why it is that we don't hear our Jewish brothers and sisters talking about loving their enemies.
No, that's real. That's real. It's partly the difference between Hebrew Scripture and Jesus. That Jesus is a rabbi who comes out of prophetic Judaism, who talked about love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor is already there in Leviticus, as you know, in the 19th chapter.
Right.
You got Amos, you got Isaiah, you got Jeremiah, you got magnificent prophets who are talking about justice, sits at the center of prophetic Judaism. But then Jesus goes beyond and says, not just love your neighbor, love your enemies. And even the Jewish brothers they said, look, he's really lost his mind at this point. We're supposed to love the Roman imperial folk who have killed our people. And, of course, Jesus is not saying, I want you to love them as they kill your mamas and daddies and children. No, Jesus is saying, I want you to hate what they do. I want you to resist. But at the same time, I want you to recognize that they're made in the same image of the same God that you are, and you have the capacity to do the same thing. And I don't want you to just return terror with terror and hatred with hatred.
Yeah.
I want you to allow love to have the last word.
But why draw that line, though? Why draw that line? Because you're right. Justice is at the epicenter of the whole Jewish experiment. They stand 10 toes down on that, and I love that about the Jewish community. But why draw that line between justice and love?
Well, because love cuts deeper, though, brother.
Right.
Reinhold Niebuhr's right. Any justice that's only justice too quickly becomes less than justice if it's not undergirded by mercy, if it's not undergirded by a deep, deep love. Now, you do have a rich conception of mercy in prophetic Judaism.
Right.
But Jesus takes it to a love level that's unprecedented. And even the prophetic Judaic folk recognize that. And when black folk, large numbers of us, fell in love with Jesus, and some of us are still in love with Jesus and going down with Jesus and oppressed people, no matter where they are, but beginning with Jamal and Letitia, you're talking at a very different level. And you see, Coltrane is not blowing a song called Justice Supreme. It's a love supreme.
Yeah.
Love cuts deeper than justice.
Yeah.
That's what allows you to be a long-distance runner in your struggle for justice.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, it was very interesting because when I said that in the synagogue, just went silent.
I'm sure.
Are you indicting us and our tradition? I said, I'm just trying to tell the truth. And as my dear brother Maulana Karenga would say, rescue me if I'm wrong.
Somebody rescue me if I'm wrong. Rescue me if I'm wrong.
Somebody rescue me if I'm wrong. I'm with my dear brother Maulana Karenga finishing his great book on Malcolm X. Please, somebody correct me. It was silent, brother.
Yeah.
No correction.
Yeah, I hear you.
No correction, man.
The other thing I want to get to right quick in the minutes I have left here with you that you said that jumped out at me is that you're right about this. No other community has created an MLK in the way that we have. What do you make of that? Why is that?
Well, I think that in so many ways, on the one hand, we've always been a people of such limited options because the white supremacy is so deep and so thick, and when it's tied to predatory capitalism, when it's organized greed and the levels of hatred bombarding black folk on every level for 400 years. Either you say, I can't follow Nat Turner, I can't follow Denmark Vesey, I can't follow Gabriel Broza in terms of a violent response.
Yeah.
We got to find something else. Now, for some people, it was a matter of just being fearful. And see, King was trying to get us to shatter fear. He said, I'd rather be dead than afraid. I'd rather be a corpse than a coward. But he also was a follower of Jesus of Nazareth. I cannot downplay the profound impact of the New World, Black, New World, African appropriation, creative appropriation of the love ethic of Jesus of Nazareth when it comes to black people.
Yeah.
That's the history of the black church, and the black church is one of the most unique institutions in the history of the world, and the black church was the laboratory and the source of the Junior Walkers, of the John Coltrane's, of the Aretha Franklins, of the James Cleveland. Mm-hmm.
We started with Junior Walker. We're going to close with Jonathan Butler. Why? Because Doc and I can do that on Smiley and West. He talked about falling in love with Jesus. Give it to me, Miles. Give me some of that Jonathan Butler, man.
Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus was the best thing I've ever done.
So y'all see what I did there? Dr. West mentioned Desmond Tutu earlier. I'm going all the way to South Africa to Jonathan Butler.
That's right.
Talking about falling in love with Jesus. There ain't nobody like him. I love Cornel West. There ain't nothing he can do about it. And I am honored every Monday and Thursday at the top of the second hour to engage in a conversation that we call Smiley and West. Doc, I'll talk to you soon, my man. All the best to you, sir.
Love you, brother. Stay strong now.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The FBI will help track down Texas Democrats who fled the state to block a GOP redistricting vote. Senator John Cornyn requested the aid, and Governor Abbott ordered civil arrests.
We cannot allow these rogue legislators to avoid their constitutional responsibilities and make a mockery out of Texas.
But since the lawmakers are out of state, enforcement remains limited. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms shares her mental health journey on the Baller Alert show, revealing how therapy helped her connect childhood trauma to adult patterns. She urges women to choose power over pressure and prioritize healing over pushing through. And Birmingham, Alabama's historic Prince Hall Masonic Temple is being restored. Once a vital Black-owned business and social hub in the Civil Rights District, the 8-story landmark is getting new life, according to the National Park Service. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Is this the title? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's baseball teams lost at home last night. St. Louis beat the Dodgers 5-3. Impressive night for Shohei Ohtani in the loss. He had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings on the mound and hit his 39th homer. The home run was his 1,000th hit in his 8-year career. The Angels lost to Tampa Bay 5-4. The Angels struck out 16 times and did not score after the 4th inning. The LA Sparks are back in action tonight in the WNBA. They're at home against the Connecticut Sun. The Sparks are going for their 3rd straight win. The NFL suspended former USC wide receiver Jordan Addison for the first 3 games of the regular season. Addison, a first-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings in 2023, was suspended for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Addison pleaded no contest to a DUI charge in 2024. He was found asleep in his car on the 105 freeway in LA. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this, Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
You are indeed, and I'm glad about it. What a great time. I always have Mondays and Thursdays, I should say, with Dr. Cornel West at the top of the second hour. That was rich. Okay, on the backside of this hour now, a conversation with Kellie Easton. August is National Wellness Month, and as the President of Action4Equity, I've invited Kellie on this program to talk about the various ways we can shift away from a healthcare system grounded in structural racism to one grounded in healing and justice for everybody. Kellie, good to have you on. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. Tell me about Action4Equity for starters.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we are an organization that never set out to be an organization. We were actually a grassroots movement that was working to have a new elementary school built. The school that really that served as the catalyst to our work was a school that had a lot of mold in it. There was mold in the school for years and nothing was done about it. And so folks on the ground organized and began to apply pressure and decided to take legal action. We actually hired an attorney and we decided to take it to the federal administration by filing a Title VII complaint. And we knew that we could build a new school. However, that was not going to address the injustice and the inequities and so we decided from there to put together a policy agenda. And we've been fighting and building the political machinery and the civic infrastructure for community change in order to realize a new system. So we're located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina,
right.
And we are proud to be a part of the Better Ancestor work that's happening.
I think of Winston-Salem, my mind goes right to Maya Angelou. I spent a lot of good time at Maya's house. Spent a lot of good time with her at her home there in Winston-Salem. So I just want to shout out Maya Angelou since you mentioned, again, Winston-Salem. So here's my question. A policy agenda to achieve what, Kellie?
Yeah, so initially we were really focusing on the education system, and during COVID, what we realized is that if we really wanted to realize change, sustainable change, we were going to have to go beyond the education systems. Winston-Salem is a community that has a lot of poverty and a lot of wealth, and the wealth actually overshadows the poverty. So the marginalization there is as such that we have the third lowest economic mobility in the nation, and so we see how the systems there's the interplay with among these systems that's created this structure, and year after year, regardless of how much money went into the system, how many top level folks will come together to try to solve them. They were not being addressed because a lot of times, when folks were coming together to solve problems in our community, they wanted to do it in silos. So just deal with education and not deal with health, deal with education, not deal with the lack of transportation. And so what we decided from there, because COVID really made this clear, right, is that we need to take on a whole child approach, and just understanding that all these systems are interconnected. And so you could go deep in one system, but you really need to figure out how to solve these problems in a more multi-solving way. And so that's really been our work. So we actually leverage the 7 vital conditions as a framework. The 7 vital conditions is like the social determinants of health 2.0. And what we appreciate about it is that it puts civic muscle and well-being in the center, and it really encourages you to, again, to multi-solve, to figure out how you can address Black maternal health issues while also looking at how the mother and family, how they may be impacted from a meaningful work and wealth perspective. And so when you come up with, as you're crafting these policies, and not only crafting the policies, but first, how are you defining the problem? It's just like, how are you understanding the main problem, as well as how the underlying issues create the factors that sustain those problems, and then what are the related problems. So the policies that we're crafting are, they touch upon the 7 vital conditions that we believe every community needs in order to thrive.
Yep. Give me those 7 right quick.
Yeah, so there's lifelong learning.
Right.
There's lifelong learning. There's reliable transportation, a natural thriving world, meaningful work and wealth, basic needs for health and safety, civic muscle, and well-being.
So I love that you ran the list, and what occurs to me now is that no other community, perhaps, at least none that come to mind immediately, have to multi-solve, to use your word, have to multi-solve for all those things at the same time, right?
That's right.
And that makes it challenging when you're advocating for a community like ours to have to deal with all of these dots that connect at the same time. So I believe that we can do anything. I don't believe we can do everything, but how do you do all things well at the same time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I mean, that's literally why it's so important that during this time of disruption and the recognition that systems are failing and that they have been vulnerable, that we have to create new civic infrastructure. And the new civic infrastructure that we develop, we must be intentional about centering those with lived experience. The folks with the lived experience bring the qualitative data that help provide the nuance to the quantitative data. And that then from there, you're able to lean into the opportunities to understand that it's not just the technical challenges that we have to face, but there are several adaptive challenges we have to face. And one of that is, how do we collaborate to solve problems? And so, there's been models of collective impact that's been around for years. And, some good things have come from it. What we recognize in our work is that often they still lack the lived experience that truly that truly can give the nuance and the perspective that's needed, from human-centric place. And so the more we're able to lean into our ancestral intelligence, the better. And especially because we're seeing the acceleration of artificial intelligence. And, and the way that we do things in the West, and a lot of times these Eurocentric ways of being, they're based around these man-made constructs that do not center the person. But the more we go back to our indigenous practices, we have the ability to see the world in better and newer, fresher ways. And so we believe that that's really the beginning. It's just understanding that we have to have new tools to be able to create something different.
August is National Wellness Month. More of our conversation with the President of Action4Equity, Kellie Easton, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Kellie Easton, who's the president of Action4Equity. We invited her on because August, once again, is National Wellness Month. And I want to hear more about this Better Ancestor framework to tackle structural racism in healthcare. Tell me more, Kellie.
Yeah, so the Better Ancestor framework, it's based on a two-loop change management framework, and the main thing that I like to point out is that, one, we're not looking to reform a system. We do believe that the best course of action is going to be to create a new system. And in order for that to happen, then we first have to recognize that there has to be a disruption of the status quo. And then moving beyond that, we also feel that it's very important to be able to identify those protective spaces within dominant power structures. And so we know that there are opportunities through philanthropy, very progressive philanthropy that's really centering on addressing racial inequity and injustice. They're able to provide resources, and then and even friends and folks who are moving with a systems change perspective within health networks. Those folks do exist. But if we're able to find wherever those protective spaces are within the dominant power structure that currently exist, and take the opportunity to come together, create healthy collaborations that includes those with the lived experience, as well well as those with the expertise, and those who can help to address whatever the main issue is, then we have the opportunity to work on doing that transformational work, first within, but then also how do we transform together? Because a major part of the shift that must happen is the culture shift.
Yeah.
It is the culture of white supremacy that maintains, what we're currently experiencing.
Let me jump in right quick, Kellie. For those who ask what structural racism looks like in healthcare, how would you answer that?
Yeah, so what we know is that the healthcare system is really based on a capitalist, economy, on an adverse economy. It's able to maintain because the policies, the practices, even the programs, a lot of times are just working in order to address immediate concerns, and so we never get to addressing the root causes. But by doing so, then we continue to maintain this economy based off of the illness, based off of the oppression of Black people in marginalized communities.
Our remaining moments with Kellie Easton when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
He does indeed for a few more minutes with Kellie Easton, who is the president of Action4Equity. I could have started our conversation here. I think I want to end it here, though, which is what we know about, and more to the point, what we do about the root causes of inequity in our healthcare system.
Yeah, so we think that it's very important to one, just realize that that it's not working. That's just the beginning, is to face that reality. But then two, to understand that we are going to have to not only just address like just the one side of the system that is very technical and in terms of, again, those policies and the different practices. But then we also have to address the cultural side, which actually maintains the current conditions. And the more that we're able to do that and come to the place, again, where we're becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable with the fact that the systems are failing, they're not working, and we need something new, then it's our hope that we can apply 7 generations of thinking, just thinking beyond, well, one, going back and understanding what our ancestors, what did they do? Like, how did they heal? And how did they do community? How did they build community? But then 2, consider 7 generations from now, what is it that we want to leave behind for those generations to experience? And then come back to where we are now and figure out, like, how can we think beyond what we currently have in order to make those steps to create the thing that we know will actually heal and serve.
And what are those best practices? What can we do in real time to ensure? You mentioned those 7 generations to come. What can we do to ensure that that Black babies yet unborn do in fact have the best chance for health, dignity, and life?
Yeah, I would say, one, just honoring cultural traditions of care, cooperation, and what does it take to not only survive but thrive. Bring in those with lived experience to the table. We cannot just make decisions simply on quantitative data. We have to have the qualitative data there that gives nuance. We have to also understand the mental models that need to be shifted. There is a type of leadership that is required to take on this kind of work. And so we need to be able to provide incentives for that, whether we're talking about through political action and philanthropy, and of course, in all the different networks and systems that we all have to navigate in order to survive. I also think that it's important to understand how we're being extractive. When we are focusing on moving with a sense of urgency and don't take the time to really identify what the problem is and what are all the contributing factors to them, then we move in very extractive ways that creates more harm, and specifically for health systems, which are, you typically have a mission to heal. So the goal is like really getting serious about what it takes to heal. And sometimes it really begins with getting uncomfortable, becoming uncomfortable, slowing down, so we can actually speed up.
August is National Wellness Month, and we have been in conversation with the President of Action4Equity, Kellie Easton, as they have recently unveiled their Better Ancestor framework to tackle structural racism as we know it in our healthcare systems. Kellie, thanks for your work and witness. Good to have you on the program. All the best to you.
Thank you.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward in our final hour conversation with the billion. We've had one or two, I think maybe 3 now. Not that I'm counting. But over the course of this program, we've had about 2 or 3 billionaires on, but not any quite like Mark Cuban, owner, of course, of the Dallas Mavericks. But he's been very outspoken in terms of his politics. He wrote a piece recently for Time magazine. And I'll just give you the headline. We'll unpack it in our next hour, in our final hour with Mark Cuban. The headline, wrote it for Time magazine again, Democrats are too inept to exploit Trump's chaos. That's the title of his piece. Democrats are too inept to exploit Trump's chaos. We'll talk to Mark Cuban for the hour when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The FBI will help track down Texas Democrats who fled the state to block a GOP redistricting vote. Senator John Cornyn requested the aid, and Governor Abbott ordered civil arrests.
We cannot allow these rogue legislators to avoid their constitutional responsibilities and make a mockery out of Texas.
But since the lawmakers are out of state, enforcement remains limited. Former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms shares her mental health journey on the Baller Alert show, revealing how therapy helped her connect childhood trauma to adult patterns. She urges women to choose power over pressure and prioritize healing over pushing through. And Birmingham, Alabama's historic Prince Hall Masonic Temple is being restored. Once a vital Black-owned business and social hub in the Civil Rights District, the 8-story landmark is getting new life, according to the National Park Service. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's baseball teams lost at home last night. St. Louis beat the Dodgers 5-3. Impressive night for Shohei Ohtani in the loss. He had 8 strikeouts in 4 innings on the mound and hit his 39th homer. The home run was his 1,000th hit in his 8-year career. The Angels lost to Tampa Bay 5-4. The Angels struck out 16 times and did not score after the 4th inning. The LA Sparks are back in